The children of my neighbors sold my grill and my video game while I was away. Now that I have sued him to recover my money, he calls me cruel for taking their vacation money. I've always had problems with my neighbors' kids. They're the type of teenagers who throw eggs at other people's houses, play loud music and party all night when their parents are out, and always get into arguments with neighbors over this kind of thing, etc. Of course, my neighbor never believed they did such things when he was away, even though everyone in the neighborhood had complained about them. And of course, his kids always pretended to be innocent and denied everything we said. This all got to the point where I had to call the police, because when I got home from work, they had invited several friends over and were in my pool eating food from my fridge and using my speaker to play music. The worst part of it all is that even with the police saying that I was right, my neighbor simply refused to believe it. He claimed that I was lying, that I must have paid the police to say that, and that his babies would never do such a thing. Up to this point, I had decided to forgive them and move on, even though they had called me several names and I ended up looking like the bad guy after everything. Something happened that I simply couldn't forgive. After the pool incident, I decided to install an alarm system in my house precisely to prevent something similar from happening. For a while, it worked. However, one day I went on a business trip, and a week later, the security company that takes care of my alarm asked why I had deactivated it for so long. I said I hadn't deactivated it, and they asked me to check what had happened, because it had been about 3 days since it showed as off to them. I had already finished everything I needed to do at work, so I asked my boss for permission to leave early, and he let me. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more. Part 2. The children of my neighbors sold my grill and my video game while I was away. Now that I have sued him to recover my money, he calls me cruel for taking their vacation money. Not only was my alarm system deactivated, but it was also completely destroyed. Someone had found the key I had hidden under one of my backyard decorations, opened the alarm box, and cut all the wires. I already suspected who had done that, so I immediately checked the cameras I had also installed in my living room that weren't connected to the alarm system. And of course, there were my neighbors' kids. When I called the alarm company and they fixed everything, I also managed to retrieve the footage from their system's cameras. There they were, taking the hidden key and cutting the wires. Not only did they cause me this loss by having to fix the entire monitoring system, but they also called another random person to my house and sold my video game and grill to her. Shortly after that, I tried to resolve this with my neighbor to avoid any trouble. But when I got there, of course, he didn't believe anything I said, even though I showed him the evidence. Honestly, if he had agreed to talk and just paid for my loss, I would have let it go. But since he chose to act like that and call me a liar again, I decided to go the other way. So yes, I sued him, and not only asked for the money back for the things his kids took, but also asked for compensation for all the other things I had let slide before. In short, I want a good amount of money, much more than I expected. And now my neighbor is playing the victim, saying that I'm a monster, that I took their vacation money, and that they were deeply saddened. Of course, no one in my neighborhood cares about this, since everyone knows I'm right. So far, they haven't done anything else, and it seems they've learned that their actions have consequences. But of course, if they try to do something again, I won't hesitate to handle things the same way.